You're watching TelecomTV's exclusive video coverage of the SDN and OpenFlow event from Singapore. And joining me now is Manish Gulyani, who is VP Product Marketing, IP Routing and Transport with Alcatel-Lucent. Manish, thanks for talking with TelecomTV. Last month, Alcatel-Lucent released its Network Service Platform, NSP. What makes this SDN solution different from others on the market?
We've been active in the SDN market for over 2 years, and we've had, with our Nuage Networks venture, solutions for data center network automation and virtualization. We extended that solution into the branches as well. But we needed a different solution to address the carriers' IP optical wide area network needs. So with this network services platform, we've introduced in our minds the first fully unified service automation and real-time network control solution that aimed specifically at the carriers' networks. It'll address both IP and optical networks in a multi-vendor fashion. So that's probably what's unique in the marketplace. Because so far what we've seen in the market is that solutions have been either piecemeal or fragmented. They're addressing some part of the problem. Some vendors have introduced IP-only solutions or optical-only solutions, just automation solutions, just control. But really, in our minds, if you don't do both automation with control, you're not really able to deliver a real-time, on-demand service experience to the customers, which is what people are really striving to do with the move to SDN.
So the SDN needs of telcos are different to those of enterprise users and cloud providers.
Yeah, so I mean, on the enterprise side, clearly there was a big gap. The network was really in the way for getting cloud services deployed at scale. If you want to do massive multi-tenant scale in cloud, with the restrictions in terms of scale, in terms of flexibility, in terms of automation was all missing. But the underlying fabric, the connectivity fabric, is quite adequate. It's just that the logical connectivity was very limited. But if you turn it over to the carrier network, it's a very diversely spread out network and is resource constrained. So you really need to understand the capacity, the connectivity of the different elements to each other to really then be able to do on-demand service placement in that network in a network-aware fashion. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you are just throwing capacity at the problem. If you're going to move towards an on-demand service model, you now either have to over-dimension your network to accept that real-time service request, or you need to move to an SDN architecture that gives you the control to understand your network well, and then smartly place your services onto that network. That's really the difference, I think, in the carrier space.
This is the SDN and OpenFlow event, and at times these two technologies appear to be inextricably linked, but there are alternatives appearing to OpenFlow in the southbound link of the SDN architecture. What's the state of the market at the moment?
Clearly, with OpenFlow, the discussion really started about creating an SDN architecture with the separation of control and data plane. It was a good first step, but wasn't complete in our minds. Since then, the industry realized that the scope and the capability required to run or deliver services on carrier networks has a much more richer requirement. And hence, there's been an augmentation in the number of protocols that are using southbound. So we are using standard protocols like BGP-LS, a path computation protocol standardized by the IETF, which is the PCEP. There's standard IP protocols. There's NetConf and YANG. So there's a plethora of protocols that are going to be applied depending on the problem you're trying to solve, in addition to OpenFlow. So the problems, space has grown to address the requirements to deliver services in a pragmatic, real network situation.
With so many acronyms and protocols and associations, it sounds like an alphabet soup at times. Isn't this going to cast doubt in the minds of telcos that SDN just isn't ready yet?
I mean, the first question that people ask us is, can I only do SDN in greenfield networks, or can I actually deploy SDN in a real network that I have already got? And since we've been working with them for years and decades, really, we know that nobody does greenfield builds too often. They often want to grow from their existing base and add new capabilities. So that's why really you have to look at what's available on these products today, what protocols can you leverage to bring some of the new capabilities, and what enhancements can you bring. So yes, there may be multiple protocols, but we need to be able to use existing plus new to give them the new service capabilities they want. And really, we are trying to work with them to figure out which subset will make the most sense to achieve their service objectives.
So your message to telcos is, don't wait, plan for and invest in SDN now.
That's correct, yeah. So we've been working, the product we announced last week was really about 2 years in the making. So we've been working closely with customers to understand the exact problems they're trying to solve and some of the initial use cases that make sense for them to apply this capability to solve some initial problems. So as opposed to trying to solve it all and address the entirety of their network and the use cases, we are trying to identify a subset. So for example, we've actually already had a win with a network services platform in Asia right here with a tier 1 operator. And they're looking to do data center interconnect, on demand, and calendar service with SDN. So for that, they need a multi-vendor capable IP plus optical solution that can enable them to deliver that service. So we are working closely with them in defining that service and allowing them to bring it to market soon. That's one example. Another example is a customer in Europe that's looking at evolving their legacy services that are running on TDM networks. These are mission critical services that are running. They want to move to an IP architecture. They need the central path computation capabilities that SDN brings to get the resilience they need in the service as they migrate from legacy to IP. So with, again, our SDN solution, they're looking at us on how they can use the newer technology to solve a problem that's going to allow them to retire the legacy network and move on to a new infrastructure. So there are some real use cases emerging, and our approach with customers is let's solve some meaningful problems. Let's not just look at SDN as a technology, but let's address some meaningful problems that they have specifically today to solve and get SDN deployed in their networks.
Manish, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.